Hey there everyone, it's Lynnea for LDRS Creative. Today I have a fun and shimmery summer card to share with you using some of my favorite products that were recently released. I'll be using the Berry Hoppy Stamps and Die Sets, the Coneflower Stencil, the A2 Stitched Layered Card Toppers, which is an absolutely essential die set, and another essential die set, the Practically Square frames. So I started by taking the large die from the A2 Stitched Layered Card Toppers die set, and I cut that from some heavy white cardstock. I'm going to use some masking tape and mask off about the bottom third of my card, and then I'm going to adhere the Coneflower Stencil on top. I'm going to ink blend with just two colors of ink. I'll use Soft Kisses for the center of the flowers, or I'm sorry, this is Fandango. This is a darker pink. So Fandango for the center of the flowers, and Dandelion for the petals. Now there are little portions that are meant to be leaves, and you can tell the difference because they kind of have jagged edges instead of the smooth oval parts of the cone flowers. I'm not taking any care to mask those off. I'm just going to blend right over them with my yellow ink and make them petals. It's not really going to make a difference in the background, but if you wanted to take the time to add in a third color and add some green, you definitely could. I like to use Pistachios Aplenty if you're looking for more of a springtime look, or Key Lime Pie is a really pretty brighter green. Now I wiped off my stencil, and I'm going to cover this with a bit of shimmer paste because I want to have my stenciled design really shimmer and shine and bring the eye down to this portion of the card. So this is an iridescent glitter gel, and I will just use a palette knife and spread this over my stenciled portion, making sure to get it into all of those nooks and crannies. There's a lot of them, lots of little dots in the center of the flowers, and then lots of little petals. And then I'm going to scrape this off back into my container. Now because the LDRS Creative inks are hybrid inks, the paste will not react with the inks, so I can put this right back into my container and use this again later. I'm going to slowly peel back that Coneflower stencil, as well as my bits of masking tape, just peeling them back onto each other. And now you can see that pretty glittery goodness over top of the stencil design. I'll set that aside for about 20 minutes to dry while I work on the remainder of my card. I'm using the Berry Hoppy stamp set, and I'm going to stamp the little bear and bunny on the bike. This is my absolute favorite image from this stamp set. I've used it a couple times in cards for LDRS Creative. I just love these little guys. So my bear, I'm going to kind of make him a honey brown color. So I'm using my YR colors of markers. But I encourage you to use whatever you have to color these little critters. If you have pencils, watercolors, another brand of marker, anything will work to add some color. And you can make these little critters any color you want. If you wanted to have a little white bear or a gray bear, black bear, I decided to go with a brown bear. So I used YR27, which is my darkest color. I always color darkest to light, regardless of what color medium I'm using. That's just my preferred way of coloring. I think it gives more dimension and more depth rather than kind of building up the color. So I start with my dark color, the YR27, then I came in with YR24, this is YR23, and then I will also be using some YR21 and YR20. And every marker that I come down with, I'm just pulling out those shadows and pulling out that darker marker with the lighter until I have my bear completely colored. Then I'm going to move on to my little bunny, and I decided to use some warm grays for him, so I'll use W4, W3, W2, and W0. And then I'll add some pink to the ears as well. I'm coloring this little guy the same way as I colored the bear, starting with my darkest color, so the W4, and just adding shadows. And then I'll go down a color and pull out those shadows a little bit more and continue to do that until my whole image is colored. I colored the rest of the bike to be kind of a hot pink color to match the center of my Coneflower stencil flowers, and then I colored the bike to be yellow to match the flowers itself. I added just a little bit of greenery to the basket, the flowers that are in the basket, and then I also colored those little flowers to be yellow. You can customize these guys to be any colors that you want. I just picked some of my favorites and went with that. Next up, I have a little trick for you. No matter your coloring method, your markers, your watercolors, it's going to kind of dull the ink color a little bit. So I like to keep my stamp positioned in my stamp positioner, pop my paper back in. I'm using my LDRS Creative Hybrid ink along with my Stampendable, and I will stamp over that image again to really bring those black lines back to life and give that a crisp outline. Now, as I was working on the remainder of my card, I cut out a scalloped square from the Practically Square Frames die set, and I thought that it needed a little bit of something. So I'm going around the edge with Soft Kisses, which is a really pretty soft pink ink, and I'm going to ink blend around the edges there. And then I also added some ink around the edges of my card panel. I cut a small, about 1/4 of an inch thick piece of pink cardstock to go along the border, and the card was still missing something. So I decided to mask off, this time the bottom portion, so the portion that I had already stenciled and added the glitter gel over. I'm going to use some more masking tape, mask that off, and then tape down the Coneflower Stencil so that I can add some quick and easy ink blending into the top area. I went back and forth between just blending pink ink, just the Soft Kisses ink all over, or maybe adding some clouds, but I really wanted this to be a soft and continuous looking card. So I just decided to go over that Coneflower Stencil with the Soft Kisses ink to kind of bring the whole card together and create a soft background, but one that wasn't so stark white. I just wanted something else there. I'm going to use a line of liquid adhesive to add that little pink strip, and that's just going to cover up the border. It's going to give the eye a bit of a break. That's something that I think you need when you're mixing. Even though this is one stencil, you're still kind of mixing patterns. So I'll just use my scissors and trim off the excess, and then I will pop up my focal point image right in the center with some foam tape. I did use my Raven Hybrid ink to stamp a sentiment from the Berry Happy stamp set at the bottom, and this card is complete. I hope that you enjoyed this, and I have linked all of the LDRS Creative products that I've used below in the video description, and I will see you again really soon. Bye!